Amazon has just released its earnings, and boy, they were good but bad, and there has been a very negative reaction on the share price. It's down 7.5%. I think it did top at about almost 8%. I think it was a bit more than that. And I think that this is quite a significant fall. Yeah, it may recover, but that fall, the last time we had the equivalent 7-8% fall was pre-pandemic. It was actually as the lockdowns was happening. The week of the lockdown on the 24th of February, we saw Amazon fall just short of 10%. We've had that once before again since the 13th of July where we fell 8%. And since that, we haven't really fallen as tough as what we've done right now. So the question being is this just a blip and we continue higher, or is this, actually, could this go further? What effect does this have on the Nasdaq, which at the time, currently it's down again. And I also wanted to look at some technical indicators as well, just to look at the general strength of the markets, but mainly just looking at the Nasdaq and Amazon today. It's the 29th of July. My name is Tyrone, and you're watching MiniPip. Jumping straight into the video, I'll look at the numbers first. So revenue was 13 billion versus the 15 billion expected. EPS saw $15.12 per share as opposed to $12.22, and they've seen increases in the web services, which is great to see. But at the same time as well, if we look at the overall operating income, 7.7 billion as opposed to the 7.8 that's expected. The problem being now, and one of the reasons why the stock has probably fallen so much, is if we looked, I looked at AMD yesterday, and that was up 7-8%, and I think it got to 105, and I actually said that was going to happen next week, and it happened within a day, which is pretty good to see. But if we actually look at Amazon, one of the issues is this forward growth. So for quarter three, they're expecting net sales of 106 to 112, which is still a growth, but it's not what people want. It's not what the analysts want. They wanted 118 billion. So that could be a 10 to 15 billion dollar difference. And say they miss on that as well, it's not looking good for the stock. And again, operating income is around 2.5 to 6 billion. So Amazon is one of those companies that they're not really a for-profit company as such, shall we say? Well, they are a for-profit, but their main aim is not profit. It seems to be market share, and the web services that has allowed them to be profitable. But the actual, say, Amazon.com, where you buy your stuff from, it's not really that profitable, to be fair. And there is, they've only been making a profit on that over the last 3 or 4 years, and they have operated in a loss with that. Yet the company's grown. Now, if we just look at the chart, we are on the weekly here, and that's a pretty big drop today. If we head over to the daily, there isn't really many days, to be fair, where we've had a drop like that. And in fact, I don't think that, the closest day that we had was the 3rd of September, where we saw a drop of 6% and then followed on by another sort of 4% drop. Given that we've now broken all of the moving averages, there's going to be potentially quite a bit of tough resistance above. The only thing at the moment that is holding Amazon up, and provided it is only 4 hours since they did their earnings as such, released their earnings, is there is a trend line there. That trend line is holding, but tomorrow, in theory, on the market open, there is a very good possibility that this could continue a lot further towards that 3,000 level, and we're then back in that range bound box again, and it's just back to square one. This is going to have a profound effect, personally, I think, on the markets if they don't recover back from this. I hope they do, because I'm a buyer of tech. But one of the things that I wanted to look at was the Nasdaq and how that's actually affected the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq, again, it's a similar situation. This 7-8% drop has seen the Nasdaq fall just short of, or just over 100 points, which shows you the influence that this stock has on the index. And the worry here now is that this could potentially, and I say potentially because I'm still a buyer, but this could potentially, cause a deeper pullback, because, with an 8% sell-off in Amazon, the second biggest company in the world, it could spark a sell-off of people getting rid of shares, and we see this decline in tech maybe to 14,500 or back to this moving average here again before we go long. I'm still a buyer, and I still think that it'll go up. And the same with Amazon. I still think that eventually at some point Amazon will be $4,000 a share, because like Apple, I think I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and Apple have fallen. Just an example, Apple have fallen every time their earnings have come out in the last 6 times that they've posted their results, but yet the stock is still up 60%, and that is probably going to be a similar situation to Amazon. This is a nasty candlestick, and if you're on the wrong side of it, all I can say is I feel sorry for you, but it just means you're going to have to be holding for a while, because Amazon is a very range-bound stock, and we've been sat here for a long time. I do think that we will get there, but given that fall, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It's probably not going to happen the week after. As a result, it's probably going to lag the Nasdaq as well. It's a tough one. This one. My worry is how deep that fall is. Amazon hasn't had a fall like that, and even the pandemic didn't see falls that were that intense. We saw a 5% fall, but we didn't see an 8% fall. I wanted to look at something else while we're on here, and it's called relative rotation graphs, and they're very good. I only found out about them a couple of days ago, and it's quite an interesting thing to look at. So what you can do is you can pick the industry that you want to look at. So for instance, looking at the S&P here, we can look at the daily or the weekly, and then we can pick the sector. I will explain what we're looking at in a second. But one of the things that I wanted to look at was the tech, okay? And the way it works is you've got these 4 boxes. You've got leading, which means that the markets are doing well. You've got positive momentum, strong momentum. You've got weakening, okay, which means things are starting to get worse. You've got lagging, and then you've got improving. Generally speaking, you would see cyclical trends where you see it go something like this, okay, is what you would generally want to see. That is healthy. The issue here is that tech on the S&P 500 currently is in that weakening stage, and there is a good possibility that we continue into that lagging stage. And if we do see that into the lagging stage, we could see the Nasdaq and Amazon, for that case, they could very quickly come back down to this 14.5 level, even 14,000 in extension of that. And so this relative rotation has given, it's given quite a good outlook as to sort of what to expect. If we look at the actual sectors as well, and we can see that we can move the relative rotation of the tech, and you can see that in June we was good, and then sort of middle of June, sort of to the end of June, we started to lag on tech a bit. We were struggling, and as you can see, we've now started to fall further and further, and we're getting close to that lagging sort of section here. As you can see, energy is doing really bad at the moment. However, it is looking to improve on that daily time frame. We can look at the weekly time frame as well, and the weekly time frame is suggesting actually that tech is doing good, which is what you want to see. But given that tech is now heading this way on the daily time frame on this chart, it's a worry that this could quickly turn around like healthcare is doing here. And again, if we look at this, it's a very interesting thing to look at. It shows you the trend, and as you can see, technology was lagging around May, and we've soon pushed out of that. And as you can see, technology is going up, but we've got all these other industries that are lagging. You've got materials, you've got financials, you've got energy, you've got real estate, which is also up here, and it's starting to slow down a bit. You don't see this positive momentum with tech, and given how bad this number is in Amazon, I'm hoping that this is just a blip and it continues higher. In terms of the levels to watch, you do have support at this trend line, which is around $3,300. Break below there takes us to 3,170. A break below there takes us to 3,000. I really don't want us to drop below $3,000. I think it's unlikely that we do that, but that would be the floor. A break below there, it could get quite nasty. Looking to the upside, we've got targets probably now of about $3,500, or the 50 period moving average, which is around $3,486. A break above there takes us towards the highs, towards 3,600, and then 3,700. A break above there towards 4,000. That is what you want to see. If we look quickly at the Nasdaq as well, given the current price of the Nasdaq, you've got support down at around 4,850 and further support down to 4,780. A break below there is probably going to take this a lot lower. There is another trend which is here. So if we break this 200 period moving average at sort of 14,850, we could be going down to 14,700. A break below there, 14.5. I really don't want to see 14.5, and I still am a strong buyer. I'm long as such. I am long up here, to be fair. Well, I'm long about here, and if it continues to fall, I'd probably look to hedge, or to maybe look to buy more as such as it falls. But ultimately, I do think that sometime in August we're going to hit 15.5. But again, it's going to be quite dependent on how Amazon reacts sort of tomorrow, going into the new month next week as well, because the provider is also the end of the month, and it is the last sort of trading day tomorrow. If Amazon does bad, there could be that last end of month sell-off, profit taking, shall we say, and we see the stock decline. Hopefully it doesn't have an effect throughout the markets, and but only time will say, really. It's the 30th of July, so I've recorded this and it's changed day now. My name's Tyrone and you're watching MiniPip. I will be keeping an eye on these on the website as well, so if you like what you see, please subscribe, please follow the Instagram page and the website. Thanks for watching.